this is a mess. Thank you for joining. Pretty much solo right now. We'll wait for other people to join. Let's go ahead and get out this streaming link. Definitely need to clean this up just a little bit, but let's just go down to the lower time frame. This is the daily VWAP, right? This was last week's anchored VWAP. Let's just bring it back to this week. Oh, it is this week, okay. Let's see here. We are live, baby. All right, let's go ahead and clean this up a bit. Had a clear little breakout there. Had a little rejection off the golden pocket. Currently trading at the weekly anchored VWAP along with the daily anchored VWAP. And let me actually clean this up just a little bit here. We're going to go ahead and just leave the previous levels on for now. Let's see here, previous month levels. I haven't updated this in a little bit, it looks like. No worries. Let's go up previous week levels as well. I like to mark these all out just so I can see how price is reacting based on the previous month's price action. And to be honest, sometimes too as well, I'll go all the way back as the previous quarter's high and low, right? So let's see here. So July low. All right, so the previous quarter's low is right around this previous month low too as well. previous quarter's high was right here. So quarter 3 high came in at 124,550. As you can see, we came up and we took that high. Excuse me. Took that high, failed auction. Swing failure pattern as well. And price sold off and took out last month's low along with the previous quarter's low. And yeah, now we're just trying to find our way back up. Clear sell-off here. A lot of demand at this level. That's why we had these wicks to the downside. Now currently pushing up. Let's see here. Since these are the previous quarters, go ahead and put them in here. Could also go ahead and just see where the high time frame levels are too as well. Shout out to chart champions. All right, so this weekly level was front ran. Another weekly level up there. Let's go ahead and look at the monthlies. It's already been tested. I know I didn't mark this monthly level down here because it's a quarterly level. Let's go to the dailies. Daily level there is a daily level there. It's been updated. This has already been tested. As you can see, these daily levels do actually work pretty well. As you can see here, we had a daily open, came down, tested it the very next day, and then price moved higher. If we went to the lower time frame, you can see how clean that can be sometimes, right? So for the people that strictly trade daily levels or just levels in general in terms of weekly, daily, monthly, you can see once we had a move above that reclaim off the daily level, then price just continued to the upside, and you can have entered probably on the retest of this support resistance flip here, right? Retest, enter, price goes up, takes these highs before coming down, retesting that level again, and then moving upwards, right? So this is a decent support zone. As you can see at the moment, price is showing respect to this level. It's kind of like a line in the sand, right? But in my opinion, yeah, if we start to trade back below this level, there's a very good chance we target these lows and even then go ahead to target the main low here, which happened after that massive liquidation to the downside. And then, yeah, you're really just looking at keeping things very simple here, right? Clear support resistance, demand zone at around 98,000. If that fails, more than likely these lows will get taken out, and then you're looking at testing this area right here, right, which comes in at around 90,000. So pretty much a $10,000 incremental drop to the downside if these levels start to fail. This is the yearly open, so this is where price was trading at 93,000 on January 1st, right? So that's where we opened up at, lost the level. And as you can see, it still acts as support and resistance, right? So the yearly open, these major levels do act as support and resistance. Right now it's support. we are just staying away from it, but there is a chance we come back down to even test it again, right? Let's see here. Someone says, is day trading harder than trading crypto? Or is there no difference? Well, in terms of day trading being harder than trading crypto, they're kind of two separate things, right? Because you have day trading, which is just based on the time frame you choose to trade, right? You can be trading on the probably 4-hour time frame to get an overall picture of market sentiment or trend, right? Right now we are in a downtrend, clearly, right? So we have lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, possibly another lower low incoming. So day trading just is based on the time frame, because when you day trade, you're looking at the trend direction, then you're jumping down to the lower time frames, trying to mark out supply, demand, support, resistance, flips, right? We're trading crypto, it's just a market, right? So you can either trade crypto, you can trade Forex, you can trade commodities, equities, whatever you want, stock market, New York Stock Exchange. Maybe you meant is day trading harder than swing trading. Crypto is just more volatile. As you can see, if I go to, let me just go to the crypto. If I choose any of these cryptos, right? You can see what happened there, right? Massive wick to the downside. If you didn't have a stop loss or was trading with leverage, you were wiped out. Pretty much any crypto, right? New lows came on everything. Atom got wiped out. SWI wiped out. Just extremely volatile. You get these massive wicks. And these are not tiny wicks. You're talking about 80% drop right there, right? Even if we go to this candle, right? This was a 50% drop in 1 week on that candle. It happens all day here. This candle alone, another 30% drop. So massive moves to the downside and to the upside too as well, right? 80% move to the upside. So yeah. Leave a comment of a crypto you'd like to see me chart, or even a stock too as well. I should update the thumbnail to include stocks also. But let me just go back to the high time frame levels at the moment. So daily, we have those all marked out, but this has already been tested, so we can remove it. So another daily right there. And then what I do sometimes is I'll mark the daily open, right? So we can see what's going on there. Remove that. You know, it's a pretty big sell side imbalance right here. That's probably why we got rejected again, right? As you can see, massive sell side candle. So there's a lot of orders here pushing price to the downside. We came up, tested that zone again, and are clearly moving back down to the downside, right back into this support zone, right? So if we get a little bit more sell side pressure, it's a good chance to retest the daily open at around $107,500, right? So we'll see how that plays out in the upcoming hours here, or as the day progresses. Remember to like and subscribe. What do we have here? We only have 2 people in here. Like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Yeah, but this is a very key level, as you can see, right? Price came down, tested this level, lost it, back tested it multiple times, broke it, back tested it again as support, 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 started to fail, right? It's starting to fail, but still held it, impulsed higher. Right, look at that, right at the golden pocket. But I like to use the nav now. It's what I created. It's basically the 0.5 and 786 zone. Seems to be a little bit more, can't say it's more accurate, but it's another deeper retracement pocket that seems to be well respected. So yeah, that's going to be my next target if things start to get a little bit bearish. As you can see, buyers stepped in at that level, $106,000. So if this starts to fail, like I said before, we target the weekly and the other demand zone below. So let's see what else we have going on here. Let's go back to the 4-hour. As you can see, we are one-time framing to the upside, so that's pretty bullish, meaning the previous lows are just being defended. All right, so if you enter down here, you can move your stop loss every time a 4-hour candle closes and just continue the one-time framing to the upside. All right, so I like one-time framing. It's a good way to manage your risk. As you can see, if you entered here and one-time framed as a stop loss, you'll see here, right? Price never moved below. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. All right, so let's just say you entered, price came down, it had a massive pump to the upside, and you said, okay, well, I'm going to enter after the pump. Let's just say you got a bad entry right here, right at the highs. All right, and you said, okay, not sure what just happened there, but let's just say you're like, okay, terrible stop loss at the moment, but we'll wait for the next 4-hour close, and when that 4-hour close happens, I'm going to move my stop loss to the bottom of that candle, right? So you enter here, boom, stop loss right there. 4-hour close happens, you wait. Price never takes out that low. You wait for the next one, you move it. Price never takes out that low. Wait for the next one, move it. Price never takes out that low. And then keep going. And then as you can see, right, you can have carried this all the way up. It's just a good way of managing your trades, right? Moved it up, 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 moved it up. And then right here is where you would have been stopped out. So that alone, even though it was a bad entry because you were entering at the highs, that alone, based off momentum, would have gave you a, let's see here, and this is Bitcoin, so altcoins will probably be a lot more, but that would have given you a nice 5% gain. If you were using leverage, $10,000, 10x, which a lot of traders do, that would have been a $5,000 gain, right? On a $100,000 trading account, so very interesting. Very interesting way to manage your trades. Do not sleep on one-time framing. It even happens on a bigger time frame too as well. So let's just say we go back and right here, right? So we had the previous all-time high. Price came up, took the high. Let's just go ahead and remove this stuff. Let's remove all of this at the moment. Right, so price came in, took the highs, swing failure pattern, failed auction. You said, okay, well, maybe I'll just go down to the lower time frame, and once price breaks down, I'll take the short trade, stop loss above the high. But what I want to do is I'll just move my stop loss down to the previous daily high every time we get a daily candle close. This specific trade would have cashed you out very nicely, but as you can see, price never went above the previous day's high, right? So it one time framed all the way down. You would have caught this massive move down. Even if you wanted to be greedy, you could have said, okay, well, I moved my stop here. All right, after that first day, you move your stop. Next day, You move your stop. Next day, you move your stop loss, and you'll see it never gets hit. Whenever a candle opened, it never went above the previous day high. All right, next day happens, you move your stop here. Let's say you get a little greedy. You're like, you know what? It's gonna go all the way down to 0. Then you would move your stop all the way down to here, but then you would have got stopped out. But in reality, you still secured a nice 8% move to the downside. And that could be very big if you're using leverage, or if you just have a big account. 8% is very nice, right? And then for your swing traders, because this is pretty much a swing trade, but for your higher time frame swing traders, you can do the same thing on the weekly time frame, right? Just keep moving your stop loss below the previous week's lows, and then once it's taken, then you know how to get out. Saved yourself a little bit of money here. You'd have been able to possibly say, okay, well, I know we're at a high time frame demand zone, right? Price never got there, but it's starting to look a little bullish. We got a nice bullish green candle here. Let's go ahead and enter a long. You enter a long here. Also not the best area, but whatever. You said, I'm going to enter the long. You entered a long. You go back to the weekly. You said, I'm just going to move my stop loss up now every time we get a weekly close. Same thing, all right? Price never took out this low, never took out this low, or this low, or this low. It took out this low eventually, and then that trade alone, all right, would have been a 10% trade, because you'd have moved your stop up, 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 moved it up there, and that's where you'd have gotten taken out. Now look what's happening in real time. All right, in real time, we are one-time framing on the weekly to the downside. So on the weekly time frame, same thing's happening. High was taken, previous week's high is being defended, and price came up, as you can see here, and was rejected. And what I like to do too as well is possibly take the fib of the previous week. You could break it into the .25s, right? Let's go all the way down to here. And then you know, okay, if the previous week is extremely bearish, there's a good chance we're going to get a little bit of continuation. In my opinion, we're probably going all the way down to 98,000 right here, right? High time frame weekly support. I mean, demand, same thing. Or close to it. Anyway, let's just say you go in, you know, this is last week's price action, and we finally start to get into the .75 retracement. You know, that's probably a good area to look for a short, expecting continuation to the downside. So if we use the vertical line, let's see here. All right, so that week ended around here, to be exact. All right, so it ended there. Boom, make it bigger. So now we know this is a new week. Price came up into the .75 of the previous week. Even took these highs, so that would have been another entry signal, right? Took these highs, could have even moved it here, right? Took the high, and was rejected. Put a different color. Rejected. Came back in. You can say, okay, I'm going short because I'm expecting one-time framing on the weekly to continue to play out. And right now, just off that trade, you would currently be in the profits about 2.5%. And then what would you do? You aim for the previous week's low, right? Because typically when things are one-time framing, they usually end up taking out the opposite side, right? So one-time frame to the downside, it's probably going to take out this week's low. Even though it was defended the previous week, I still would aim for last week's low, right? That's why I can put this back on. Okay. And then you just zoom in. Let's just hide this for now. All right, let's just hide this for now. But as you can see, last week's low is right here. So you would aim for this low, right? There was a lower time frame, 1 hour demand zone here. I think I marked it out before. And yeah, this thing looks way too bright. Let's go ahead and lower that really quick. Put that at 5, put both at 5. There we go. Let's save that. Oh, actually, I'll just leave it like that. All right. So yeah, as for Bitcoin, it is looking a little weak. Lower lows still, right? Every time it's just making a lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. This time made a higher high, but we need to see if it's gonna hold, right? Let me actually get rid of this. Let's see if this holds. And did I adjust yesterday's high? I don't think so. So this was yesterday's high, yesterday's low. All right, so now we're looking a little bit more accurate. And yeah, as you can see, it's now just trading right on top of yesterday's high, right? After being rejected. So locally, as a day trade, in my opinion, this could very well be a failed auction to the upside. Once we get acceptance back into here, it's best to then go short and aim for the lows, right? A lot of liquidity here. Look at this 1 hour, one time frame to the upside. So even on a daily, on a 1 hour, price one time framed from the lows all the way up to take out the highs into this supply zone. So you can see how important one-time framing is. That's why I love it. It's probably the best, in my opinion, it's the best trade management. It might take the longest. It might play with your nerves a little bit, but I think it's the best trade management, because if you took a trade down at the lows here, or let's just say you waited for one of the highs of the previous candles to break, again, you enter long. Right here, put your stop below this low, and every time an hour candle closed, you just moved it up, right? 1 hour candle closed, you moved it up, and now you are basically break even, and then it continued all the way up. So this, you'd have been able to take it all the way up to right there, because even when price on the hour came down, you can see, right? This was defended, even this was defended, and then this low was defended as well. And then it was wicked out, and then now we are getting a little bit of a consolidation price action at the top right here. So this is very interesting to watch locally. It's definitely something I'm going to keep my eye on. What would be nice as a day trade, even nicer, is if price comes back up, takes out this high one more time, get the entry, and then we get the move to the downside. That would be really nice. So in my opinion, that's what I would be looking for. just going off of previous day levels and bearish market structure on a higher time frame. I'll be right back. All right. Do you look at the 1 month to 1 hour time frame before entering a trade? Well, yeah, that's multiple time frame analysis, but it depends on what kind of trades you want to make. You know, do you want to do a swing trade and hold the trade for weeks, months, days? If so, then you want to look at the 1 month to 4 hour. If you're just doing a not really a day trade, but almost like a weekly trade. Then you want to look at the daily down to maybe the hour. And if you're doing day trading, better to be at the, in my opinion, the 4 hour to see the trend, all the way down to the 5 minute or even 1 minute for entry. I trade when the right setups occur, right? And there's the right setup varies based on the individual, right? So for me, for instance, right now I'd be looking for a short trade once this level is lost to try to take out the lows, just because there's a ton of liquidity being built up here. And if we see some weakness, there's a good chance we're going to get a pretty nice move back to the downside. But for somebody else that might be looking to trade channels or swing failure patterns, which I do trade as well, then you can possibly trade this as a developing channel, right? You can marked out your high, marked out your low. Price came down, did a failed auction, swing failure pattern. It's a valid trade. You got to close back above, stop loss below the lows, aiming for the highs. And at the very moment, it's a winning trade. You can see it tested that area twice. So in my opinion, if it's just a scalp day trade, then yeah, maybe just move your stop to entry. And then you just wait to see if that target hits. All right. So let's see here. Let's go open up another one for, we should look at Ethereum too. I mean, Ethereum does the same, everything does the same thing Bitcoin does for the most part, but we can still take a look at it. Let's go to the focus. But yeah, so let's just see how this plays out. I will keep this. Let's redo that. Actually, I'll just keep it like that. All right, so let's see how this plays out. All right. Probably will only be on here for another 30 minutes. Maybe you get the push back up to this high, maybe not, we'll see. But yeah, next let's go and look at Ethereum. Okay, let's see here. This has some supply demand zones marked out. Previous week levels, previous months. Yeah, so in my opinion, this is where I'm looking to possibly go short. All right, we had already action up here. These highs were swept twice. Very bullish 4-hour candle. So yeah, I mean, shorting here is probably not the best idea because it's already been tested twice. It'll probably break through. Yeah, I'm not really interested. I'm actually going to remove this. This is the area I'm more interested in going short. Yeah, so let's go ahead and remove that. We can remove this also. And try to go live. Every day, 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Probably 6:30. I think 6:30 works better for me, at least. Yeah, I'll probably end up updating my schedule. Do 6:30 to 7:30. Today I'll go till 8. Actually, no, I'll do 6. I'll start doing from 6 a.m. No, 6:30 to 7. I think I'll just do 30 minutes every day. 30 minutes live. And maybe I'll go a little bit longer. We'll see. But regardless, I should be live around 6:30. Let's see. Can you... That setting on version... What setting? Some key levels here. This already been broken through. A little bit of a triangle happening. See, this low is defended, this low is defended, this low is defended. Might be weekly lows. 1, 2. Yeah, this is almost like engineered lows is like what I like to call it, right? Just building liquidity, probably gonna end up moving to the downside in my opinion, following this bearish structure. We did break this previous day's highs, so the one-time framing ended, so there's a little bit more buying pressure happening now on Ethereum. Plus, like I said, you had this massive 4-hour candle, bullish candle. So that's leading me to believe we might get a little bit extra push up. And usually what happens too is with these triangles, which I would not be surprised, price comes up, takes this high, comes all the way back down. It just seems to be a pattern that plays out a lot. All right, let's see if I updated the previous levels, previous day levels. Nope, so we can switch this. Previous week levels are accurate, monthly accurate. And yeah, see, it just gives you sentiment, right? So the previous month in September, right? There's the range, clear range. October happened, the low is taken, so clear weakness. And we've just been trading closer to the lows of October, right? Just leading me to believe we're going to continue to the downside. If I go to the monthly, I can almost guarantee we're one time framing on the monthly to the downside currently. All right. There you go, right? There you go. Previous month's high defended, right? That would have been an amazing entry for anyone that kept that in mind. I should have actually caught that because that would have been great. And look how close they brought price, and then the sellers took control and defended last month's high. And now it's just looking like it's going to continue, right? We might get another candle, monthly candle, bringing price down to 2,900. Let's see my supply demand zones. Yeah, so I'm not sure why so this entire area, I just don't like the entire month's price action, but that is a monthly demand. Let's see the weekly. Weekly demand is, okay, that's probably why I did that. Okay, that's monthly, but we do the weekly here. All right, could even make it a little brighter. And then you also have the daily as well. So all these levels a little messy, but in my opinion, okay, well, let's see something here. Let's bring that to the front. All right, well, whoops. Just to clean it up a little bit here. There's too much going on. All right, now that's better. All right, so as we can see, there was a pretty big daily demand here. As you can see, we had a nice bullish daily candle right there, right? Bullish engulfing candle. And as you can see, with price coming down, we tapped that demand perfectly before moving to the upside. So that's why I love these supply demand zones. Just look for the big candle, and then you'll usually get a rejection there, right? Look at that daily supply, rejection, and defended the high, right? So this one played out very nicely. Another daily demand here. Price hasn't gotten there yet. Yeah, so the heck. I think my mouse, I need a new mouse. This thing has just been tweaking. All right, so weekly, boom, 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 daily, 4 hours. See what's going on here. 4 hour, mark that out. We've tested that now. And yeah, see, as in terms of Ethereum, we've already begun to trade back into yesterday's high, right? Make sure that's accurate. Yep. So we've already started to fail yesterday's high. That is clearly a failed auction to the upside. All right. Tried to push above it twice. And we are now failing. So this is the last line in the sand for Ethereum. And that's why price is trying to stay above it, right? Because if you fail this level, very big chance you will start to see nice movement to the downside, at least testing previous month's low. Yeah, I think this mouse is just dying. Which might be a sign for me to end this stream. But yeah, I'm not really liking Ethereum in terms of strength, but I am liking it in terms of a short trade, possibly to previous day's lows, which could end up being a nice 4% gain if you get that in one day. Could even possibly place the stop above the VWAP. Never mind, I don't really like where that VWAP was pulled. This is an old VWAP. Let's see if we go from the previous high, what's going on here. All right. What about this one? Interesting. Okay, what about this low? So that's a volume weighted average price since we had that decline. Yeah, I don't really like it, but I guess I'd rather have it from here. Oh yeah, this is the RSI. This is for free. And this is just the volume. This is also for free. Yeah, so both for free. And there you go. See, selling pressure coming in even more for Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, the trade would be right here above the high, 1% risk. So this is a perfect trade in my opinion in terms of risk management, because you never want to risk more than 1% of your portfolio. So 1% risk, aim for the downside, and this could be a 4-to-1 risk reward. All right. Or 1-to-4 risk reward, because you're risking 1 to potentially gain 4. Even you could probably even just take it here, because this is where demand starts to come in, which then turns into a 1-to-2 risk reward. Yeah, in my opinion, that's the better trade. Also gonna see how this plays out. I do have a Top Step account, so maybe I'll just go short on Ethereum. I was long overnight in the profits, so Yeah, I'm gonna close this here for now. If we get a little bit more pressure and buying pressure, and price starts to hold this level again, do some liquidity sweeps, then yeah, I'll look to take it a little bit higher. But this is just an intraday trade. So let's just see how that plays out. Risk management is there, so that's why I don't mind just taking it, because it's 1%. And that's exactly how much you should be risking on every trade. 1%. All right, so we'll see how these play out. I will be back tomorrow. Actually, I will not be back tomorrow, but I will try to be back on here Saturday. Saturday, I'll do a longer stream. Yeah, leave a comment of a project you'd like to see me do a live stream next time. Remember to like. You're the only one watching, Mumkin. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe. And yeah, leave a comment of a project you'd like to see me go over, a crypto, and I'll do that for you, since you were the only one in here hanging out the whole time. And I'll definitely do that live stream on that project. You could even leave 3 in there. All right, well, thank you for joining. That's about it. And take care.